So, good morning and welcome back. To start off today, we're going to use some sporty activity and have an hour or so of tennis before it gets too hot. It's already pretty warm, but me and Alex play tennis regularly in Innsbruck. We thought it'd be nice to have a match out here. The court here is really in amazingly good condition. And if you think there's only 50 odd permanent residents in the village, having a tennis court is amazing as is. Now, if you look behind me, you can see there, the chestnut is beginning to come into flower. So the smell here is amazing, and it's going to get stronger over the next couple of days, and all of the bees will be out making chestnut honey. You can see it all across the valley. I'll film it later as it gets lighter and lighter with the sort of yellowy blossoms. Okay, but for now, I'm going to do some sport. See you soon. So, back from tennis. Alex mullered me quite dramatically, but he is a good decade younger than I am, which is going to be my excuse for today. But it's always great fun. It's actually gotten just that little bit warmer than was absolutely necessary, even though we did get an early start on the tennis court. So now it's time to get on with the room. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to strip the beams of paint because I want that done before I start putting up the metalwork for the ceiling. Now, a few people asked why or said, don't you dare cover up those beams. Well, this here is not ceiling, this is floorboard from upstairs. And there's a wall in the middle, and although everything is now repaired on this side of the roof, a lot of it was previously damaged. There's that room upstairs, that crazy room with the staircase outside that you'll see on the house tour, and that room stops about here, and then there's some basic loft space there, and there is a lot of damage over on that side. There are bits that have holes in it and were repaired with, I don't know, bits of orange box. There's a hole, whoops, where's my finger, there as well. So to use anything of this ceiling, I would have to go upstairs, change all of the floorboards, probably change out most of the little, whatever they are, 12 by 12 centimetre beams that, aren't even particularly original. So I've decided, and I think it'll look fabulous, to keep the wiring in there so that we've got a nice light in the middle. We're going to keep these beams and bring them back to wood, and everything else will be plasterboarded up, nice smooth ceiling. Even if I was going to change the floorboards, every time anything moved, the entire room would be filled with dust. I've done this before. I know, old houses, I've lived in France in old houses for forever, and you just end up with dust and stuff coming through floorboards all the time. So that's not really an option. So I'm going to go and get my stuff together, and I'm going to put the chemical product on these beams now so that we can get the paint off. Okay, gloves on, safety glasses. We got this open. I have to paint it on bottom to top pretty thick because there's quite a lot of paint on there. And what we're going to do is just test like a 50 centimetre bit up here to see what happens. So this is the stuff. It's looks like ectoplasm from Ghostbusters. Pretty thick and gooey. I've given it a good shake. So I'm going to start painting it up on the beam now. Wow. Smells not too bad actually. It doesn't really smell of much. I'm assuming it's really, really, really nasty stuff. In fact, looking at this, pretty certain we don't have enough of it anyway. So I'll have to get more, but this will be a good test to see how well it works and what the beams look like underneath all of this, which hopefully they look brilliant. So it's just a matter of splodging it on and waiting for probably a couple of hours. It's just, the thicker it is, the longer you'll have to wait. Get right up here because this is also going to be wood as well. Oh, actually, now that it's on the paint, it's starting to smell sort of chemicals. The room is very well painted, you know, all the windows are broken and the door is open. So, I'm very interested to see what this does. Really thick, gloopy stuff. Okay, so while we're waiting for this to dry, or rather to do its business, while we were out last time, we fitted this, which is the runoff pipe for the sink that will be in the bedroom. And I'm going to take that 90-degree off, and I'm going to swap it out for this T-piece. And on the top of this T-piece, I'm going to fit this. This is a valve, and what this will do is every time there is a vacuum somewhere along the line, is it'll pull air in here, and that'll stop trying to pull air in through one of the other pipes, which empties the siphon and can then create a smell that will come back up into the sink, because below every sink obviously there's a siphon to stop, well, just to stop exactly that happening. So I'm going to fit this. This is 30 seconds. It's just a pull on, pull off. Get some lube, put the whole thing together, and then we'll just keep waiting for that to dry and probably go and cook some lunch. Okay, and there we go. All done, all screwed up, and that will stop because that really is the highest and furthest point on the system. That'll stop it going bloop 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 when someone flushes a loo somewhere. So this is it's slowly bubbling up a little bit. Interesting to see what that did.
Alex is here this time, so while Ref went down to the city to get some stuff to carry on the building, I went down here to this beautiful piece of nature, and I'm already standing in the water. I got my swimming pants on, so the only thing left to do is jump right in. Let's take a look around.
Okay, so well, we've done some plumbing downstairs. The loo now flushes perfectly, which is great. So all of that's done. Alex has been down and had a swim in the river, and it's time to check on our paint stripper. If you look closely, you can see the paint's all bubbled up everywhere here where we've put it on compared to there where it hasn't. Just going to try and get in and scrape some off and see what it does. So it's not coming off super easy, but there are a lot of layers of paint on here, so we might have to do this twice. I'm not sure I'm going to leave it on for a little while longer anyway. There where it's, you can sort of get under the paint. It goes quite well. I just don't want to damage it too much. I'm just going to have to sand it or wash it afterwards. But it's going to be a hell of a lot of work doing this if that's all the paint stripper is going to take off. I was expecting it to sort of peel off, but that's not happening at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try plan B, which is it's not a wire brush, it's a nylon brush on the end of the drill. So I'm going to get that and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so this is a nylon brush where it works basically like a wire brush but won't damage the wood. A wire brush would damage the wood straight away. So we used the wire brush on the car, that was fine. I'm going to have a go just next to where our first test site was and see how this does. And the clear answer to that is no. So it is, I mean, it's removing, you can't even see where I did it here, well it's there actually somewhere. It's removing a little bit, but it's not great. What you can see is there's really nice wood under there. So we're definitely doing the right thing. Going to be back to the drawing board.
Poi l'apertura per Chiesa, 1 contro 1, Chiesa prova ad andare, rientra sul sinistro, la prova Chiesa, ribattuto, ancora Chiesa. Vediamo se la prova di nuovo, non c'è spazio. Perché abbiamo dominato questa partita.
Okay, good morning, second day. Italy qualified last night, so we were out on the church square till pretty late watching that. But up bright and early this morning for another quick bout of tennis, quick hour, and then back into the house to get on with doing some serious work. And that was another massacre, but I'm going to claim age on that one again. So pretty sweaty, time to head home, get on and do some stuff, but it is nice. It's very surprising. Everyone's always amazed that we have such a great tennis court in the middle of a 50-person village. But that's sort of what the whole community thing is all about, and that's how they managed to get things done here. It's the same reason we have a defibrillator hung up, which will need new pads soon. So if anyone knows anyone who works for Philips and can get us some new pedi pads and some normal pads for the Philips defibrillator, that would be great. So back to the house. So we got our bet back from playing tennis, just getting rid of everything that's bad plaster. Alex is de-stressing himself with a hammer and a wall, and I'm going to go up here and see what happens with our paint stripper, see if it did anything better. Okay, well, as you can see, it's better. Still going to be a lot of work getting all of this off, but that's going to be the solution, is using just a lot of it and maybe 2 coats. So interesting test, but it's going to have to be for another day now. Alex has uncovered the border there. The paint's just coming off of its own accord. Super easy. Obviously we're going to plaster over everything, none of that's savable, but it is always nice to see what was under it. And that's it. There was over there in the corner, there was some more flowers. There was this sort of white and blue, I think. In fact, maybe this whole wall was framed. It looks like the brown goes up there and along the bottom and then around the top. It might have just been white in the middle. Hard to tell really. Okay, well, that's absolutely the best we've got so far. It's much better than the chemical stuff, which I wasn't so hot on anyway. That's come off nicely, and I think if we go over it quickly with the nylon brush afterwards, it might. My battery's dead. But I think that'll come up nicely. It's still going to be a long, hard slog, but that's probably the best we've got so far. Okay, excellent. So tests conclude. The heat gun works best. Okay, so Alex has done a terrific job so far there. We got the first bits of metal up for the ceiling part. I'll be going all the way across, and the electricity has run into the middle. What I'm going to do now is something that someone suggested, and that I thought was a brilliant idea. Okay, so while I've been doing the ceiling, which is now on this side pretty much ready and we're almost out of metal, so I'm going to leave it there. Alex has been slightly overzealous on the wall and taken off literally almost all of it. I'm just expecting the comments to explode now and say, why don't you put a stone wall in there and joint it all up? Well, no. I had a parent stone wall in a bedroom in France a few years ago. It's okay for a living room. For a bedroom, it's just collects dust. There's always stuff coming off it, no matter how you joint it. And if you joint it with anything that won't create dust, then you seal the wall and it falls to bits inside. So I'm going to plaster it with renovation plaster that allows the wall to breathe, and that'll be fine. It'll look great. So pretty happy with that. What I'm going to do now is run the electrical wire down here for this light switch, and then I'm going to put a provisional light bulb there in the middle, and then I'm going to start lining everything up here. So we've got the sink that wants to go on this wall. There are some brackets and things, so we'll need some wood reinforcing. I'll be cutting some wood, putting it in there, insulating it, and then putting the first plasterboard sheet up, and we'll see how we go from there. Okay, well there we go. Once we finish up the ceiling, we've run everything through here, but once we finish up the ceiling, we'll put the box into the plasterboard and the last little bit of tubing to pack it all together. But we have a switch here. I think that switch, this lights up. This was pretty much the only light bulb I had for some reason, but it does light up. And then if we go back over to this switch, then it turns back off here, and the loo is still the loo. So that all works, that's great. Now it's time to cut some bits of wood to reinforce this. Okay, so here's the plan. What I want to do is put two brackets like this here, and they'll go through the plasterboard. Then they need to be fixed onto something pretty hefty behind, because we're going to put a sink and a piece of wood on top of that. So what I'm going to do, as we've done before, is reinforce with some wood that I can then screw in through the plasterboard, and then screw into that for the brackets. So what I've done is I've marked up, because I can't fit both of these bits of wood in here, so I'm going to have to trim out a little chunk of that exactly there. And the same again on the other side with that piece of wood. And then we'll slot them in, and we'll get our first piece of plasterboard hopefully set up and put it on. Okay, there we go. So slotted nicely firmly in there. I'll give it a lot of more rigidity and something better for that to screw into than just pure plasterboard. So I got some nice wood screws through there. Obviously the top two will go through both bits of wood. That's the plan, at least. Yeah, you see, if I line it up with that line there, and those two will go through both. And this one will just have to live with one. But, I think that should be fine. So outside I've got the insulation panels. I'm going to go get an insulation panel. I'm going to pop it there, and then I'm going to put my first piece of plasterboard across there. Cut all of the holes out for the sink bits, and then we'll pre-mount, test mount the brackets. Get a piece of wood. I haven't actually got the right piece of wood yet. I'm going to hunt through cellars and try and find some nice old wood. I'm just going to get any old piece of wood for now. I'm going to pop the sink up there and we'll see how it looks. Right, there's the insulation. The job I hate the most, to be honest. But that's basically, it's just a little bit of acoustic insulation. It's not going to stop the sounds coming out. Obviously this is open, there is a hole here. But it sort of gives it a fuller feel if you knock against it or something, and doesn't sound like it's made of paper. So it's sort of, it's I guess the difference between shutting the car door on the 1998 Golf or on a 2021 Mercedes, the sort of clunk. So after that I am extremely sweaty, and I'm going to go and have a beer and take a half an hour break, and then I'm going to come back and start screwing a bit of plasterboard together. There's our first piece of plasterboard for this wall. and the only piece I think for this trip. So I've marked up that line there, which is the line, the top line, so the line that the brackets want to mount up with. And I'm now going to screw, I'm going to use these through into the wood and then bolt back. I'm going to screw them through, so I just need to mark up where the brackets exactly have to go, like that. Mark up those holes, get them straight, we should be good to go. So that was just 2 bolts, well, you know, the screws with the bolts on the end in there. They're not completely tightened up, but that's because this one is on a middle bit, but they're not going anywhere laterally. So I'm going to go and find a piece of wood, lay it over so I can show you what I was talking about when I was thinking about putting a sink in here. Okay, now I'm just going to pop a piece of plasterboard on it. I'm going to search through. I'm pretty sure somewhere in the cellar there'll be a nice piece of wood that'll go on there. So underneath we've got our water ins and outs, and over here's the sink I bought. So I'm going to get it out and I'm going to pop it on there, and then hopefully you'll get more of a feel of what I'm trying to achieve. This is the sink I've chosen. Obviously the piece of wood will be a nice old piece of wood, and it won't stick out quite that far because obviously it doesn't need to. We'll have a nice high tap here that'll come out from the side and sort of go in there, that I've ordered and in fact arrived after I left, fortunately. And that's what it's going to look like. So, you know, that part is in the room, but in a nice big room. And I've got a huge mirror that goes behind it that I had up in the apartment years ago. And I didn't really find a place for it, but here it's going to look amazing there on that wall behind the sink. And I think the whole thing will look really, really good with the loo then, and then the shower, and this with the big mirror, the bed over here, covered up against that wall. Once that wall has been replastered, ceiling's ready to go. So we're definitely making progress in leaps and bounds now. I think that's going to look really smart. Imagine some really nice old wood to go with the beams, and then nice, you know, that is quite a modern sort of sink idea, and it'll have a nice modern tap next to it. Yeah, I think that'll look pretty good. Okay, well, that's the end of a super productive day. Lots of little things done, lots of medium things done. Definitely progressing the way I want it to get on. So really very happy. I'm really happy that Alex came along to help. You know, it's getting on to evening. We're probably going to go out to dinner tonight, so I'm going to put this video up now. Once again, thank you very much for following on. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments. I know I've been terrible recently and haven't answered any comments. I will do as soon as I find 5 minutes. We've got lots going on. Back to Innsbruck tomorrow, which will be a bit of a Sunday trip. Hopefully the roads won't be too packed going up past Lake Garda, but well, we'll see. Just going to tidy up here a bit and head off. Next weekend is another kiddie's birthday party, so I should be baking cakes and doing things for that, and then with a bit of luck I'll be back down here in 2 weeks' time. So until the next time, thank you very much. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, then do subscribe or tell your friends if you think they might enjoy it. Every little bit helps. See you next time. Take care. Bye bye.